Hello guys, my name is SVB and I'm back with another video. Today I'm going to complete the second part of my What I Learned as a GM in Gold series. So I want to start off by thanking everybody first of all for the overwhelmingly positive response to the video. I was really touched by the response and I'm glad you guys liked it. And I just want to respond to some of the feedback that some of you guys gave me, because in particular one of the things that a lot of people said to me was that, SVB, I liked your video, but some of the things you said, I have to do them. I have to do them in the game. Even though you said that they were wrong, I need to do them because otherwise my team doesn't operate properly. So for example, the most frequent, probably singular role of people who had feedback for me were Moira players. And it was particularly, I heard a lot from bronze and silver and even gold level Moiras telling me that, look, they understand that DPSing is bad as Moira, but they need to sometimes because their DPS will physically not do the job. And often they're getting dove on, etc, etc. Now, to you guys, I want to say, totally fair enough. I totally understand and believe that at certain elos, particularly bronze, silver, and even gold sometimes, people just are playing as a complete mess. Nobody's actually doing what they're supposed to do. So sometimes you have to break rank, break the rules of Overwatch to do whatever it takes to win the game. And if that means wraithing into the backline as Moira and trying to suck some people to death, then so be it. So to you guys, my advice is, fair enough, do whatever you need to do to climb out of that rank. Now I know some of you are going to turn around and tell me, whoa, SVB, you're just contradicting the entire subject of your previous video if you're telling me that I don't need to listen to all the things you were saying, that all the good habits that I should be trying to get into. However guys, there's a big caveat to the advice that I'm just telling you about doing whatever you need to do. And what I'm about to explain is probably what I would say one of the most singularly important things to understand about the solo queue and just the ladder experience in general. And if I was making a clickbait YouTube video, I'd be telling you guys that this is the one secret tip that's going to get you out of gold and into top 500. And here it is guys. You need to be willing to unlearn things that you learned in a previous rank once you get to the new one. And what I mean by that is this. Say as a DPS, you've learned that your team is just not going to go in ever. They're gonna do nothing. They're not going to push past the choke point, and it's on you to go in and get the kills yourself when you're going on your solo mission. Let's say that's been your experience as a DPS climbing from bronze or silver or even gold, and you find that doing the solo mission thing is winning you games, and that it's helping you climb, and you eventually climb your way out from gold into platinum doing this. However guys, the thing to understand about rank is that everybody has a ceiling at some point. Everybody hits a ceiling at some point. And when you find that you stop climbing consistently, and I don't mean going on a 5-game loss streak or losing 7 out of 10 games, because that happens to every single player in Overwatch. I'm talking about if you're going 1 season, 2 seasons, 3, 4, 5 seasons, but really even 1 or 2 seasons without having climbed out of your rank. What that means is that you have to unlearn certain habits. You've gotten into bad habits that are stopping you from climbing. And in the example of the DPS I gave, if you find that your whole solo mission thing is just not working out anymore, it's because the bad behavior that you learned in gold and bronze or silver is not going to carry you through the next rank. Because the way that each rank works is, each rank has something of a glass ceiling. And what these ceilings are hard to define. They're kind of different from person to person. But what this glass ceiling means is that every player in this particular rank has learned certain behaviors that have got them this far, and they've learned to punish certain mistakes that players make in the rank below. But to get to the next rank, you have to break the glass ceiling of your previous rank. So for example, if you're hard stuck in platinum, and every time you come near diamond or you come up against diamond players, they beat you, it's because everybody in the diamond rank has broken through the glass ceiling that's keeping you in platinum. They've learned to remove certain mistakes in their game that you have not. And they're recognizing those mistakes in your play, and they're punishing them consistently to stop you from climbing. Now from my experience of having watched lots of VOD reviews and having played in platinum, it's clear that there's a lot of players who are going into the game and just doing the same thing over and over. And this is one of the biggest singular mistakes that people make in Overwatch, guys. And this is the assumption that everything that's worked for you before is going to continue to work for you forever. And that's absolutely untrue, guys. If you want to climb, Like I said, you have to be willing to unlearn every single thing you learned in a previous rank. DPSing as a healer might have worked for you in previous ranks, but the minute that you hit that ceiling and you find that just losing games consistently, even though you think you're doing the right thing, it probably means you're not doing the right thing. It probably means that you're doing something that's either costing your team directly and the enemy team is punishing you, or it's costing your team indirectly because you're indulging in behavior that's actually detrimental to the overall balance of your team. And I sympathize with the players who are in this situation, because the whole process of solo queue is a bad teacher. Solo queue encourages you to pick up one certain habit at a certain rank, and then tells you to ditch it later. So if you find yourself hitting the ceiling of your rank, and you just don't seem to be climbing, the tough truth is, guys, that you've probably learned too many bad behaviors, and you need to, in some ways, take a really hard look at yourself. And this is difficult, guys, but I promise you it will reward you if you look back at your games, record them if you have to, or ask somebody else to watch your games, and really try and unlearn the bad behaviors, and really try and unpick what it is that's costing you every single time. Because if you can, the more good behavior you can incorporate into your play, the more easy you'll find it to climb, guys. And I know a lot of you said to me in the response that, you know, for example, I'm trying to do the right things. I think I'm doing the right things every time, but my team is just not cooperating with me. My team isn't following in when I'm a tank. My DPS aren't killing stuff when I pocket them and heal them. And the truth is that, guys, that always will happen at some point. There will always be a game where your teammates don't cooperate with you and they indulge in bad habits. But the answer isn't to keep indulging in your own bad habits. You have to just keep doing the right things as often as you can, and I promise that you will see results if you keep consistently doing the right thing, because eventually the people who keep doing bad things are going to get stuck in their rank, and you doing good things are going to climb, because you're not going to be the one getting punished. You're going to be the ones rewarding your teammates with your play. And the higher you go, the more your teammates will try and be an asset for you. But even at the highest levels of Overwatch, guys, there will be games where people are just making your life harder as a teammate, even though that's the opposite of what they're supposed to be doing. And to illustrate my point, I'm going to show you a clip from the highest levels of Overwatch of someone making mistakes that are so basic that it would blow your mind, guys. So I'm going to show you a clip now of a game that I played recently, a couple days ago in fact. And this is a high master level game, guys. And what you're going to see is a DPS player in my team, playing Genji in this case, just refused to cooperate with us. I'm going to let this clip play out and you'll see what I mean. Genji, Genji, Genji. No deflect. Go from inside, 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 inside. Inside, guys, inside. Inside, inside. It'll be safer for us. Trace is behind, watch out. Lucia, Lucia. So you just saw there, guys. The audio is a little out of sync because it's just my recording software gets like that sometimes. But you should have heard, that was me in the callouts there telling the team to go from inside. And you'll notice here that our Genji player is not inside. He's outside, taking a duel on his own, and he dies way too early. Now, if this was an isolated incident, you know, you put it down as, alright, no worries. Everybody makes mistakes in games. But I'm going to fast forward this clip, and you're going to see that this is something that happened over and over repeatedly in this game. So we lose the fight. Obviously, starting a fight 5v6 is never going to be advantageous to you. We lose the fight, and now the call goes out to group up. And I'd like to draw your attention, guys, to this little dot here, which is the Genji, currently near a point, and unable to resist poking when everybody else is dead. Genji, man, stick with us, play with us.
I can barbecue if you come over here, dude.
Genji, man. So there you just heard the call out going for grouping, me telling the Genji to come back, our Zarya player telling the Genji to peek in the window so that he can be bubbled, just to save his life. But you can also see that clearly the Genji flat out refuses to listen to us, even in the slightest. Now, I'm not drawing attention to this just to put this Genji player on blast, because clearly, having achieved GM, and this person was in Grandmaster, they're clearly an amazingly technically skilled player. They're obviously very good at Overwatch. But what's a shame is that solo queue has taught this player that they just will not rely on their team, even in the slightest, even when it would actively save their own life. So this kind of behavior, guys, just trickling in, dying after the fight is over, ignoring the calls, ignoring your team, ignoring all positioning. You would expect this kind of play from gold, platinum level players. But here's someone at the highest level of the game making really basic mistakes. And making these mistakes because they've learned from solo queue that this is the way to climb, this is the way they're going to win games. Now the lesson to be learned from this, guys, is that everybody's ceiling is different. For this player, they've managed to reach Grandmaster playing like an idiot. No offense to them, but it's true. They've managed to reach Grandmaster probably off the back of amazing technical ability. Now what's a shame for this player is if they'd incorporated coordination and teamwork, maybe their ceiling would be much higher. Maybe they can go semi-pro, maybe they can go pro. But I guarantee you, a contenders team coach, or anybody who's maybe even an open division level coach, is going to look at this kind of play and they're going to instantly reject this player because their ceiling is clear where they just cannot coordinate with their team, and that's not the kind of player a professional team would want. So some of you watching this clip might be quite upset thinking, oh man, I don't make mistakes like that, I don't do stupid things like that, and I'm not Grandmaster, I can't climb as high as that person. The truth is, guys, the game is cruel like that, and that's really the nature of life. Not to get too philosophical on you, but some people climb easily because they're just very good at the technical aspects of the game. But that's not to lose heart, guys, because you could be a player like me who has very comparatively poor technical ability and still make it to the highest levels of the game if you try and understand the game better. And to illustrate my point, guys, I've made something of a little graph. Now don't get too excited because I'm not a maths dude, so this is pretty basic and sucky. There's lots of different attributes you can have to climb in the game. Some players have really high technical ability and they can climb with very little game knowledge just off the back of their raw mechanical skill, and this would be a technical player. Now this is probably where the Genji you saw in the clip fits in, because they must have awesome mechanics to reach GM and still play in such a rudimentary fashion. Now there's other players, and I'd probably describe myself in this category as a tactical player, and this would be because my technical ability, or at least my mechanical aim, is clearly not at a level of a GM player. But if you're someone like me and you lack in technical ability, you can make up for that in game knowledge, guys, and you can climb as high as the technical player by making up for the deficiencies you have. And of course you could be a balanced player where you have a little bit of both, and I know friends of mine who are like this, who are former DPS players turned tank or turned to a different role, and they're able to manage the fact that they have good raw mechanical ability and meld that with a good understanding of the game. And in reality, guys, no one way is better than the other. But I'm guessing the vast majority of you out here on YouTube trying to improve your game are probably not the technical players who've been able to climb the GM despite playing the game really stupidly. You probably fall near one of the latter two categories. And again, in that case, guys, the only solution to climbing is to improve your game sense, improve your knowledge, and just make sure that you're a smarter player. So that's my lesson really to you guys in this part of the video, is understand the game and understand yourself. And you need to really be willing to unlearn even something you think is really fundamental. So to give an example of that, when the game came out, Bastion used to get a lot more play than he does currently, and the common knowledge amongst the player base was if the enemy team has a Bastion, you should just pick a Genji, and that's a hard counter to Bastion. But now, even a gold or platinum level Bastion is probably going to be smart enough in their understanding of the game to know that they just have to wait for like 3 seconds for the Genji to stop deflecting, and then they can shoot away and the Genji is useless. As the game evolves, guys, and our understanding of the game evolves, you need to be willing to let go of things that you might even have thought were crucial to how Overwatch is played, or you might have thought how basic to how Overwatch was played. Go back to the example of the guy I mentioned in the first part of the video who was utterly convinced that it was the job of DPS to make space for tanks. And if you become like that player, and you become unwilling to let go of ideas that you've held on to so tightly, but are clearly getting you nowhere, clearly keeping you stuck in a rank, then you will forever find yourself hard stuck. But if you're willing to look at yourself, guys, if you're willing to acknowledge the fact that maybe you're not the best, and to quote Socrates, guys, and now I know I really am getting philosophical, but the wise man knows that he knows nothing, and the wise Overwatch player knows that they are fundamentally trash. And on that note, I'm going to call it there, guys. I hope you found this video helpful. I'm trying to keep them a little bit shorter because I don't want to bore you guys with long, endless rants of my own voice. But again, I really appreciate the feedback, and I think I'm going to try and keep on with this trend. Try and make this an ongoing series. And as I progress up the ladder in my new account, I think I'll continue to try and share with you guys the observations that I find of the player base at different levels and what I think they're doing wrong, or where I think they could just use a little nudge to push them in the right direction. So if you found this video helpful, guys, or if you learned something new, please do like, share, and subscribe. It really does help. and I'll be back before you know it for another video. I'm SVB, and I'll see you guys later.